Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, uncrossable sea. The wind whips your hair and the salty spray stings your face. Behind you, a terrifying sound grows louder and louder. It is the thunder of horse hooves and the clatter of chariot wheels. Pharaoh's army, the most powerful force in the land, is coming for you. This was the reality for the people of Israel. They had just escaped a life of slavery in Egypt, but now they were trapped. There was nowhere to run. The sea was in front of them, and a furious army was behind them. Fear must have felt like a heavy blanket, covering every single person. The people cried out in their terror. Their hearts pounded in their chests, a drumbeat of pure panic. They looked at Moses, their leader, with wide, frightened eyes. Was this the end? Had they been led out of Egypt only to perish here in the wilderness? Their hope, once a bright flame, was now just a flickering ember, threatened by the winds of doubt and despair. They could see the dust cloud of the approaching army getting bigger and bigger. The shouts of the soldiers grew more distinct. They were completely surrounded by danger, with no human solution in sight. They felt utterly helpless and alone in this desolate place. In this moment of overwhelming fear, they did the only thing they could. They turned their voices toward heaven. Their cries were not just shouts of fear, they were prayers. They were desperate pleas to the God who had promised to deliver them. They had seen his power in Egypt, the plagues that had humbled a mighty king. But now, faced with an impossible situation, their faith was being tested like never before. They needed a miracle. They needed to know that God had not abandoned them. Their voices rose above the sound of the wind and the waves, a chorus of desperation sent to the one who held their very lives in his hands. This scene is a powerful reminder of our own moments of fear. We have all stood at the edge of our own Red Sea. Perhaps it was a frightening diagnosis, a lost job, or a broken relationship. We have all felt that cold grip of panic when it seems like there is no way forward and no way back. The enemy of our souls pursues us, whispering lies of defeat and hopelessness. In these moments, it is easy to feel small and insignificant, just like the Israelites must have felt. But their story does not end in fear. It is just the beginning of a magnificent display of God's power and love for his children. God heard the cries of his people. He is a God who listens. He did not scold them for their fear or dismiss their panic. Instead, he answered with power and might. He told Moses to do something that seemed impossible. He commanded him to lift his staff and stretch his hand out over the sea. Can you picture it? One man, holding a simple wooden staff, standing against the power of a mighty ocean. It was an act of pure faith. And as Moses obeyed, a strong east wind began to blow. It blew all through the night, a relentless, powerful gust sent from the very breath of God. The wind did what no human could ever do. It began to push the waters of the Red Sea apart. Slowly, miraculously, a path began to form where there was once only deep water. The sea divided, creating two towering walls of water on either side. It was a sight that no one had ever seen before, and no one would ever see again. In the middle, the seabed became dry ground. A safe passage, a holy highway appeared right through the heart of the impossible. God did not just make a small opening, he created a wide, safe road for his people to walk upon. He made a way where there was no way. The Israelites, watching in stunned silence, began to move forward. They walked on the dry ground, their feet treading where waves once crashed. Imagine their awe as they looked up at the walls of water held back on their right and on their left. It was like walking through a dream, a divine corridor carved out by the hand of God himself. He was not just their protector, he was their guide. He led them through the very thing they feared the most. The sea that was once their barrier became their salvation. God turned their greatest obstacle into their greatest miracle, showing them that nothing is too hard for him. When the last Israelite had safely reached the other side, the Egyptian army foolishly charged after them. They raced onto the same dry ground, confident in their chariots and their strength. But their path was not blessed by God. The Lord looked down upon them and threw their army into confusion. The wheels of their chariots became stuck in the mud. And then, at God's command, Moses stretched out his hand again. The walls of water that had stood as a fortress for Israel came crashing down. The sea returned to its full strength, swallowing the entire army of Pharaoh. God had not only saved his people, he had completely defeated their enemies. Once they were safe on the other side, the fear that had gripped the Israelites turned into overwhelming joy. They looked back and saw the sea where their enemies had vanished. They were alive. They were free. A great celebration began, a spontaneous explosion of praise and thanksgiving. It was not a quiet, formal service. It was a loud, joyful, and heartfelt celebration. Moses led the people in a song that would be remembered for all time. It was a song born from a miracle, a hymn of pure gratitude for what God had just done for them. Their hearts were overflowing, and they had to let it out. Their praise was for God's incredible strength and His mighty salvation. They sang, "The Lord is my strength and my song. He has given me victory." They finally understood that their own strength was nothing compared to the power of God. They had been helpless, but He had been their champion. They also praised His magnificent power. They sang about His right hand, which was glorious in power and had shattered the enemy. They had seen it with their own eyes. The hand of God had parted the waters and defeated a powerful army without them having to lift a single sword. Their song was a testimony to this awesome power. The people also celebrated God's perfect holiness. Their song asked, "Who is like you among the gods, O Lord, glorious in holiness, awesome in splendor, performing great wonders?" They recognized that their God was completely different from the false gods of Egypt. He was pure, He was majestic, and He was worthy of all their worship. They also praised His unfailing mercy and His faithful guidance. They sang of how, in His mercy, He had led them. He had not just rescued them from danger, but was guiding them to the promised land, their holy dwelling. Their praise was a beautiful tapestry, weaving together all the amazing attributes of God. This celebration of praise was a defining moment for the nation of Israel. It was a time when they came together as one, united in their thanks to God. Miriam, the sister of Moses, took a tambourine and led all the women in a dance of joy. Their celebration was a full-body experience involving singing, dancing, and music. It was a lesson for them and for us. When God shows up in a big way, our response should be big praise. We should not hold back our gratitude. We should let our joy pour out in whatever way we can, celebrating the goodness of our amazing God. The story of the Israelites at the Red Sea is not just an ancient tale. It is a powerful picture of God's love and help for us today. The same God who parted the waters for them is the God who makes a way for you and me. He is still in the business of performing miracles. He is still in the business of rescuing His children from impossible situations. We may not be chased by an army of chariots, but we face our own giants. We face fear, sickness, loneliness, and despair. And in those moments, God is right there with us, ready to create a path where we see only a dead end. Take a moment right now to think about your own life. Can you remember a time when you were trapped with a sea in front of you and an army behind you? Maybe it was a financial crisis that seemed impossible to solve. Perhaps it was a difficult relationship that felt like it was crushing you. Think about how God brought you through. Maybe He provided a new job out of nowhere. Maybe He healed a sickness that doctors were unsure about. Maybe He brought a friend into your life just when you felt most alone. These are our Red Sea moments, the times when God steps in and shows His mighty power. Just like the Israelites, our response to God's help should be praise. Our hearts should overflow with gratitude. Praising God is simply telling Him thank you. It is recognizing His goodness and His power in our lives. Your praise might not be a song with a tambourine, and that's okay. Your praise might be a quiet prayer of thanks in the morning. It might be telling a friend about what God has done for you. It might be serving others with a joyful heart. There are so many ways to create your own celebration of praise and honor the one who has saved you time and time again. Let this timeless story encourage you today. Do not let the memory of God's goodness fade. Remember His strength when you feel weak. Remember His guidance when you feel lost. Remember His mercy when you feel you have failed. And let that remembrance lead you to a life of praise. The God of the Red Sea is your God. He has saved you, He loves you, and He reigns forever. Let us join with the saints of old and sing our own song of thanksgiving. For our God is worthy of all our praise today and every day.